7:07 p.m. Welcome to tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and public may participate in the work session and public hearings of September 3rd, 2024. All participants will be able to speak when called upon. At this time, I would like to explain the procedures to be followed during the meeting. The Commission has both a consent agenda and an agenda for consideration of individual items. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-contested. Item number 1, citizen comments, provides the opportunity for members of the public to address the Commission on items that are listed on the consent agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and the Secretary will let you know when 1 minute is left. For all plats and plans conditionally approved or disapproved by the Commission, the applicant will be provided a written statement of the conditions for the conditional approval or the reasons for disapproval at the end of the meeting. These conditions and reasons are not arbitrary. They are directly related to the requirements of Local Government Code Chapter 212 and include citations to the law that is the basis for the conditional approval or disapproval. For individual consideration items, I will call the applicant or his or her representative to present the case. The applicant will have up to 5 minutes to present the case, which includes all persons representing the application. Then those wishing to speak in favor and those wishing to speak in opposition will have up to 5 minutes each to present his or her comments. Prior to speaking, please give your name and address. Remember to speak directly into the microphone, as this hearing is recorded for public record. Any handouts you wish to provide should be given to staff. Please do not approach the Commission. The next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission will be Monday, October 7th, 2024. The next item on the agenda, citizen comments on items listed on the consent agenda. April, has anyone signed up to speak on any item on the consent agenda?
No one signed up to speak. Please proceed.
Thank you. Secretary Hack, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Thank you, sir. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. The first item is the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of Monday, August 5th, 2024. The second item is 2024-78PL. It's platting of 3 lots into 1 lot for industrial use, which is located at 1120 Singleton Boulevard. And the third item is number 4 on your agenda. It's been moved from the disapproval consent agenda to approval, and that is item 2024-299-PL. It's platting of 5 lots for single-family residential use located at 828 and 832 Compton Avenue.
Okay. Do we have a motion for approval of the 3 items on the consent agenda for approval?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, and on the consent agenda for disapproval.
Thank you, sir. We have 2 items on that now, and that is item 2024-302-PL. It is platting and replatting of 32 lots for single-family residential use located at 4951, 4961, 4971 Courtside Drive, and 3800 Doris Road. The second item on disapproval is, on the agenda for disapproval, is item 2024-304-PL. It's a replatting of 2 lots into 1 lot for commercial use, and it is located at 3800 North State Highway 161 and 3803 Esters Road.
Okay, we have 2 items for disapproval. We have a motion for disapproval based on the reasons set forth in the staff memo.
I make a motion for disapproval.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second, and these are motions based on the reports, recommendations in the staff memorandum.
Correct.
Great, thank you. And on the second?
Correct.
All right. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, on to the individual items. Item number 7, Zoning case 2024-180-ZC, located at 928 and 930 East 4th Street. Is the applicant present? Right. We discussed this some in the work session. I don't know if you had the chance to attend.
Unfortunately, I did not. My name is Jesse Perez. I'm actually speaking on behalf of the applicant. She's not present right now. That's my mother. My name is Jesse Perez out of 3832 Jackson Street. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know. I think we spoke about it last month, just wanting to extend it 6 feet in order to have a storage/break room for the associates that work at the salon. And so I just wanted to state that case and answer any questions you had for me.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any questions that the commissioners have for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Is there anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to this item? There being no further comments, I'll return it to the commission for any further. Ted, did you have something?
Yeah, I'll just ask one moment to hold the vote. We have an issue with the voting thing till Fernando gets it correct.
Okay.
Or we can do it by hand, whichever.
Okay,
you
well,
want.
let's see, is there any further discussion on it before we get to, needed to, the commission had any
The
further
only,
discussion?
the only issue I got is like we discussed in the work session is that, they built that addition on that's right there. I think that building inspection should have a look at it and make sure it's safe and everything else if we're going to be approving that setback on the addition they did on the house. I really don't have an addition or a issue with the expansion of the beauty salon. It's just that one area where it's only like 6 inches away from the property line.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it by,
Oh, it's
Is
been
it ready?
fixed. It's been fixed, yeah.
okay, then we can accept a motion then.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval to be, for plain zoning case 2024-180ZZ to be forwarded to City Council for approval.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, so that goes with a recommendation for approval. It'll still go to City Council. They'll have the final decision on it, but it'll go with that recommendation. All right, item number 8.
Chairman Skinner, a point of order. As mentioned, there were some issues with the voting software or whatever on the first couple votes. Could you please, for the record, correct the consent agenda votes so that everyone's vote are counted?
Okay, I think they were both unanimous votes. I think I said that on the record.
The issue is one of the vote, it was showing 7 instead of 8, so we're just trying to make sure everybody's vote was counted. So,
Okay. Then let's go back on the consent agenda for approvals.
You can just do a cleanup and confirm that it was a unanimous vote.
It showed up on the screen as unanimous, but apparently somebody was missing. So was there anyone in opposition? No, no one in opposition on the consent agenda for approvals. And then similarly on the motion on the consent agenda for disapproval, was there anyone in opposition? No. So they were unanimous votes even though somebody was missing from the screen. Great.
Thank you for the cleanup.
Sure thing, yeah. All right, on to item number 8. Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-248-CP, located at 4205 West Pioneer Drive. The applicant present. Mr. Gears, do you want to cover this one and the next one at the same time?
Please.
All right, so
Appreciate that.
zoning case 2024-243-ZC.
And Herbert Gears, 4526 Wildbriar here in Irving. Representing Alliance Industrial tonight. I did see the work session, and thought I might first just start out and sort of clarify something. You probably all know this already, but actually some of these things have changed since I've been around, and I'm learning. But we have the comprehensive plan amendment that we are required to ask for when the future land use map, which is a component of the plan designation, does not match what we're asking for a zoning case. So in fact, the case we're withdrawing tonight up on High Point, where we're demolishing the office building, when the comprehensive plan amendment failed, then they just left, didn't even hear the zoning case, so technically I didn't lose a zoning case. So that was okay. And, it's a difficult structure to have to live with because, I didn't come forward and ask to change, the designation of this land, to manufacturing and warehouse. In fact, there's a limited number of kind of groupings, that you have to kind of fit into one of those. And this particular project, is as much an office project as it is what you would call a warehouse function. Businesses have warehouses. When you go to the dump and buy furniture, you see it all out in the showroom. This is kind of the way these businesses are designed. And then they go out and do the warehouse, to get you the one that they ship to you. Okay. So these are the types of businesses that, kind of really are mixed uses. And so sometimes it's hard to kind of fit the square peg into the round hole in its entirety, but that's what we're required to do. So we're asking for this comprehensive plan change. And actually the description, kind of fits what we're doing. It even mentions, that they want you to have the building look nice, and this is what we're going to build. This is what we're going to build up in Las Colinas as well. This is a difficult site. I live about a block from it, so it's kind of an eyesore in many ways. I drive by it every morning. I can promise you that my neighbors will be happy when this looks like this instead of the way, that it looks now. And then just before I get going, I heard there was some questions about the letter that I wrote with regards to what I'd heard. Okay, so I actually heard that from a council member when I said, hey, there's going to be this project, come forward. And there was a offhand remark made about, hey, we turned down the apartments there and, thought it should be more of a commercial use. And so I actually asked staff about that, said, hey, I heard this. Is that true? And of course, they couldn't recall that necessarily the way I asked them about it. And so I thought, well, I ought to be able to find that meeting online. So I wasn't able to find that meeting. So I thought I'd watch the meeting and hear the comments for myself. And the reason why I found out today that I couldn't find that meeting, because there was no meeting. There was no zoning case. There was one out there being discussed, and it became an issue of the tax credit housing methodology that they wanted to include, with the Housing Finance Corporation and all that. And that was what was turned down, okay? So I never really got to see that discussion, but, I apologize for that confusion. I'm certainly not trying to say that actually even means anything, as you know. It doesn't. But in this case, this site's been there for a while. It's this AMC theater. I used to go to it. It's called Starplex. This is what it looks like now, and has for a while. It's all boarded up. Got various fencing and these big concrete blocks are everywhere. They try to keep you out of the parking lot, although you can just hop over the curb. I go out there all the time, snap photos. Invariably, I'm looking at what you see here on the site. There's a lot of people that sort of take advantage of it being vacant that, may not have anywhere else to live. I got nothing against people who struggle, like that. It's not the best thing for the neighborhood. There's the dumpster in the corner up in the picture. Anyway, this is the operation that's just north of us, okay? So it's a big Walmart. And they have a lot of trucks and docks and everything. And the design of our site will be such that our area where that where the loading and receiving can happen will face the Walmart. So when we think about compatible uses, this is a pretty heavily truck, actually, storage, and also transport that we look at on the north side of our property, okay? This is what's happening now. These periodically get issued. These are violations from the city telling us that it's, you know, just basically falling apart, becoming more and more dilapidated every day. And of course, everybody who lives around there, by the way, you know, there's mention that within 300 feet, you know, there's 2 single-family neighborhoods, you know. Well, really, within 300 feet, there's about 2 single-family homes, okay? And as you extend further out in the direction, okay, maybe you penetrate into the neighborhood. So there's not single-family homes surrounding all this. It's mostly multifamily units. And I've gone out and knocked on the doors of some of them that are actually at the back of this property. It's in their backyard. Now, for them and for everyone, this is a very topographically challenged area where it's about 15 feet high in the back, and which is great because it serves as a berm function, you know, to screen whatever you might want to screen. Okay, there. These types of buildings, we've done analysis on about 9 of them, and when there's mixed use of office and this business storage, there's not a lot of 18-wheeler traffic. It's minimal, and we surmise, based on the data that has been accumulated, that 18-wheeler trucks may visit this property maybe 2 a day at the most. It just depends on the tenants. It's not a warehouse distribution facility. It's not. It's not these behemoths that you see on 161, you know, that have 100 docks and things like that. That's not the purpose, that's not the function of the businesses that work here, that become tenants of this building. You know, they need space to store, you know, materials that make their businesses viable. So the city doesn't want apartments on this site. You can trust me that that's true. I know it was all about the financing before, but I've talked to enough council members, and we all know about multifamily and the difficulties that multifamily projects face, particularly politically. There's no chance this particular site's ever going to be developed as an office. You know, right now, just in Las Colinas alone, we've got 10 million square feet of vacant office space. And we've got over 600 acres of vacant land in this city right now that's zoned for office buildings. So this one's just not going to happen for office. Retail, every retail study will show you that the visibility of this site is not sufficient to make retail viable. It's just not going to work. We've got this development that's come forward that's really kind of new because it's mixing, and really a lot of it had to do with COVID, where it's mixing the office space demand, you know, with the business operation demand, the business storage and things like that. So we're kind of looking at it like we think maybe this, you know, theater may sit here and continue to dilapidate absent, you know, some consideration for what would benefit the community, the city, and certainly our tax base. So we're asking, you know, to be able to create this and kind of get rid of that. The concept plan, you know, this is SP2, so that where it shows all the greening and all that stuff. Well, you know, are we going to have all that landscaping? Well, we don't have to. We don't know that. That plan is not the ordinance that shows what has to be developed. You know, we provide a conceptual plan so you kind of know in general, you know, what the plan is. So the mistake of closing off those two entrances that we have from the north, I can promise you that's a mistake on a concept plan because that wasn't really the plan that was being designed for what we have to do in specificity. Because our study shows that 95% of any 18-wheeler that ever comes to the site is going to come through the entrance off of Esther's because they're coming off the freeway. So trucks are not coming out of this site and going down Pioneer. There's nothing down there to go to for an 18-wheeler, and there's nothing down there for an 18-wheeler to come from. So just like Walmart, the trucks are coming in, and it's a shared access road that we have with Walmart. We actually have two. We have another one right next to it. So we're anticipating that that's where the trucks are coming, if any coming at all.
1 minute remaining.
On that side. Now, with regards to the entrances on Pioneer, they're right in and right out. So that's gonna all be included in when we're working with the traffic department to get our project actually approved, the site plan approved. We've got to comply with all the regulations, for the zoning category and with all considerations. And so all that stuff about fire comments and things like that, all that gets handled, when we lay down the plan and say, here it is and here's what complies. So anyway, staff mentioned that their role is to consider technical requirements. And I understand that. And we're getting to the point in our development as a city, where we've got some specific areas, that need attending to, that need some flexibility, or they'll never be attended to. So the result of when these projects come forward, of them failing to get approved, it just means that me and my neighbors and all the people living in the apartments that we're all worried about, having an impact on, are being impacted, by what's sitting there, becoming more and more dilapidated. So when the evaluation is made, and they say, well, is this compatible with the uses? Well, we got a gas station over here, and we got a big Walmart dock right here, and then we've got a big berm over here, some apartments over there, and apartments across the street. No signs have been up. Nobody's thinking that this project is going to be bad, that lives nearby it, or they'd be up here tonight. So when we say that it's going to have a negative impact on business, one 18-wheeler, two 18-wheelers a day. Okay,
Your time's up, so
you got it.
Finish up quickly.
Coming off of Esther's is not going to impact them at all. So anyway, I appreciate your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
How tall is this building going to be?
It's going to be about 35 feet, 35 to 40 feet. I'm not exactly sure.
So it's going to be taller than Walmart?
Walmart is kind of set down. Remember, we're up on a hill. So yes.
And the conceptual plan that you give us is showing, what, roughly 131,000 feet, something like that, where it sets on the property?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a question. Just looking on here, it mentions that it says Starplex is still the owner.
They are.
Okay, then, that's who operated the movie theater.
They were bought out, so I'm not sure Starplex is still the name on the ownership. And they have, it was mentioned today, whoever buys that property, when we buy it, we will not be able to put a theater on there. It's deed restricted. It'll never be a theater again because they've got one right down the street at the mall.
So like Starplex is putting a deed restriction on it and selling it?
Yes, it's.
Because I assume there wasn't one before they bought it.
Right, no, there was not, but it's all owned by AMC Theaters now, I think. I'm not quite sure how the ownership changed, over the years, which is one of the reasons why they shut it down. But yes, definitely the deed restriction will be on there because there's another one of their products right in the area.
Okay, so the current owner of the property is wanting to sell it, adding in a deed restriction that prohibits any movie use.
Absolutely.
Okay. And your plan is tearing down the building that's there, so it's going to be a new construction.
All new
regardless.
construction.
Okay.
So just to understand, so you are the possible buyer?
I represent the buyer, yes, sir.
Okay.
He's had the land under contract for a little while. We've been working with the city and trying to figure out how to come forward,
Any other questions for the applicant? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who would like to speak in opposition? There not being any further questions or further comments, I'll return it to the commissioners for discussion and ultimately a vote.
I'd just like to make a comment. We have a land use map for a reason, and some of us have been through that process once, twice, to review the land use map. And the city officials, both employees and city council, have said that area needs to be zoned as regional commercial. We've moved a lot of the manufacturing warehouse to 161. And while I am sensitive to the fact that this is a property that needs development and the neighborhood deserves something nice there and something new, I have a problem with this because just like Greenway and High Point in Las Colinas, when you get this sort of a mixed idea of office, retail, I think we had a tiling company come in. I just don't think that's the correct place for this type of construction. So I'm in favor of keeping it as regional commercial and denying the request to change it to manufacturing and warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to echo what I said in the work session. I completely understand the need to redevelop this land. I agree, it is an eyesore, which I do want to encourage the owner of that property to maintain it so they don't get code violations. But I just want to say the same thing that I said in the work session. I just don't think it's a compatible, I think it's a compatibility issue. There are residents that live on the sides, a lot of residents that live on the sides. This will be their backyard. And so for that reason, it's a compatibility issue. I can't vote for it. Sorry.
Commissioner Reyes?
I was just going to make a motion, but yeah, that was my statement. Is this in agreement with the two ladies?
Okay.
Oh.
Unless there's anybody
Okay.
else, I think you can make
If
a motion.
anybody else doesn't have anything to add on, I'd like to make a motion
Chairman
to.
Skinner.
This is the first one, number 8.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Chairman Skinner, we also need to hold the public hearing.
We did.
Call for speakers.
We did.
Oh, okay. On just the first
I
one.
did before I brought it back to the commission. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to City Council for disapproval for item number 8, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-248 CP for disapproval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on item number 8 for disapproval. Please vote. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously, recommending disapproval. So then we go on to number 9, which the applicant already spoke about. We'll open it up for the public hearing. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to this item? Then close the public hearing, return it to the commission for any further discussion if needed, and a motion on item number 9.
I'd like to make a motion for disapproval for zoning case 2024-243 ZC to City Council. Motion disapproval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for recommending disapproval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And we move on to item number 10. This is Special Fence Plan 2024-249-SFP, located at 1101 North MacArthur Boulevard. Is the applicant present? Hi. Would you mind coming up? I don't know if you heard the work session. We did discuss it some, but I wanted to see if you wanted to have anything further to say. Your name and address first.
So my name is Layla Day, and I'm at 1101 North MacArthur Boulevard. I just wanted to say that I'm trying to replace a fence that's already existing with a new upgraded fence. And it's going to be a foot taller. Instead of 5 foot, it would be 6 foot. So that's really the only thing I would like to say.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? No, doesn't look like it. Great, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this item? Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Emmert. I'm at 128 East St. Clair. I'm her neighbor, also her sister, just to the south. Let's see, it says Billy F. Day there on the screen. That's where my property is. But I'm just wanting to speak in support of it. My driveway is going to come right along the backside of where that fence will be. And there's already a fence there. I don't have any issues with visibility or anything like that. So just wanted to speak in support. It's going to be a beautiful new fence. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, anybody else who would like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to this item? We're not in any hurry.
Oh, this thing's right this time. Hello?
You can pull it down a little bit,
Right there?
or a little further if you want, however works well for you.
Okay. I'm Brenda Vasquez. I live across the street from the sister. Emmert family is very nice people, and I also know Layla. I think if she took down the vinyl fence and had the wooden fence in place, it would look very nice. That'd be a brown fence, and a brown fence now, all three in a row instead of the white one. So I think it would look very nice in our neighborhood, make it look good and strong and very clean looking. And also it would be a safety factor and also a sound buffer from MacArthur Boulevard, because the traffic sounds horrible over there. So I'm all for it. I think it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to the item? No? Then I will close the public hearing and return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, unless anyone would like to discuss. All right, so I move on Special Fence Project Plan 2024-249-SFP that we approve the application.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And that does still go to council, so you still have to take it before them. They have the final decision, but it goes with a recommendation to approve. All right, thank you. All right, on to item number 11. This is Development Plan 2024-273-DVP, located at 2150 Kimbrough Drive. Is the applicant present? Yeah.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Bhavan Patel. I'm representing my father, Rajan Patel. We live at 1824 Shomarda Oak Lane. And I'm here to address any questions or concerns that the Commission may have regarding the variant setbacks that we have requested.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? I was curious, which HOA controls this property?
Cottonwood Valley.
It is the Cottonwood Valley. Okay, all right.
And we've spoken with Cottonwood Valley and also Los Colinas Association. Their recommendation was to follow through with city and planning and zoning, but they had they did not say anything in regards to the setbacks they were requesting. They had no concerns with them.
On the rear of the property, you got that one angle that goes all the way back. Is that like at the corner of the fence of the neighbors? Is that like in that back corner near the brick wall and where the wood fence meets? That's that
Yes.
angle?
Yeah, that's correct.
And there's no issue with your neighbors? They had no problem with it or anything else?
No,
They were to
they had
your
no
right?
concerns.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is there anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? No? Then I'll close the public hearing, return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
If there's no further discussion, the commissioners, I'd like to move development plan case number 2024-273 DVP to city council for approval.
So this one's for final action. So we're the final action on this one.
Then I move to approve it as final action.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for final action approving of the development plan. Please vote. And the motion passes 7-1. All right. You don't have to go to council because that was final action on yours. It's not usually that way. All right, on to number 12, zoning case 2024-274-ZC, located at 1532 Huck's Court. Is the applicant present? Okay.
Hello, my name is Luis Valdez. I live in 1532 Huck's Court.
Okay.
Okay,
And you can move the microphone so it's more convenient for you.
okay, so the main reason for my case is my family is growing. My wife gave birth to our first son June the 30th. And the rooms we have right now are very small. And we're planning to grow our family in the future. So the main reason for us to do for this case is to have enough space for our children in the future where they can have enough space and what else? Yeah, that'll be it, yeah.
Okay.
No space. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Are you planning on replacing the fence, removing it? And then
No,
replacing it?
so 2 years ago, we went through a process, a special fence plan. It was approved, so the fence is a few feet away from where we're going to build the new rooms.
Oh, so it won't be an issue then?
No, it won't. We did that 2 years ago, and it was approved. So there's a new fence already. Mhm.
Just to get a confirmation, so you're planning on building a 4,100 square feet home? Like the total square footage, it will be about 4,100 square feet?
But it's just an expansion.
But right now you have about 1,800,
Mhm.
right? So you will be doubling the size.
But not doubling, I would say they would. Let me see. Somewhat, but I wouldn't say doubling, although.
Okay, thanks.
So I'd like to just be clear, the fence along East Irving Heights remains.
Yes.
But the one along Huck's Court, you're going to have to take part of that down because the house is expanding into that area?
No.
Or it just sits behind that fence?
It was behind the fence, yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I do have one more question. And the entire first floor will have a second floor on top,
Yes. Well, no, yes. Just on the new,
on the new piece?
on the new piece, yeah.
Not on the side that you share
No.
with your neighbor?
No,
Okay,
no, I'll
Thank
stay
you.
the same.
thank you.
Are you adding any additional driveway or parking?
No, sir.
I'd like to make, I mean, I don't know if there are any other, I'd like just to make a comment. I mean.
Oh, we aren't at the voting
Okay.
stage.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
But do any other questions for the applicant? No? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for any further discussion and for a vote or a motion.
My comment and motion, the comment will be that I will be proposing the denial because of the square footage of the home is not compatible with the neighborhood. Most of the houses on that street, which is a really small street, are about 1,500 square feet. The houses around there, having a 4,100 square feet, I mean, they're literally more than doubling the size of the home. So I don't believe it's compatible with the neighborhood. So my motion is for denial.
Okay. It looks like maybe Commissioner Reyes wanted to say something further too.
If I am not in agreement, can I counter that to another motion? Or do I need to deny that? How does that work, the motion?
So I believe typically if we have a motion, then it gets a second, then we vote on that, you can vote against it.
Okay.
And then if his motion recommending disapproval failed, then it would be open for
New motion.
a new motion.
Okay, thank you.
Is that right? Okay.
Well, can I make a comment then to second that? I completely agree on the real estate aspect of it, but when it comes to him wanting, or the family wanting to sell the home, at least it will not conform. However, in this particular situation and scenario, and like wanting to expand based on the family size, I have to look at it from the perspective of what's going to benefit the family in that case. That's my comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a comment as well. I think the family is requesting the expansion out of necessity, which I completely understand as well. I think in this day and age that we're in, a lot of families are needing to convert different spaces to accommodate a growing family, and that I completely understand. I do understand, the comment that Commissioner Lightfoot put about the parking. I think that's just an issue that we have in Irving, is we just have a lot of cars in small spaces, right? And so I think that's something that, unfortunately, based on how many cars we can have per bedroom. I'm not against this case because I do see from the family's perspective the necessity. So, yeah.
Any further discussion? All right. Well, he kind of incorporated. Do you want to go ahead and make that motion?
My motion on zoning case 2024-274-ZZ, it's for recommendation of denial.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending denial. Please vote. And the motion passes 5-3. Now that means it goes to City Council either way, and you'll be able to explain to City Council why you'd like them to go ahead and grant it. So it's not a final decision tonight. It just means it goes to a City Council with a recommendation of denial, but it's ultimately up to them. So, all right. Didn't pass, or the motion passed for denial. Yeah, yeah. All right, moving on to item number 13, zoning case 2024-276-ZC, located at 3090 Rock Island Road. Is the applicant present?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. I'm here tonight representing the property owner that would like to simply add an additional use to his existing zoning. He would like to be able to add a laundromat to this place. There's 2 existing buildings on the property. The one on the west side, the owner actually operates and runs his own business out of. He leases the building on the east to a specialty balloon party supply company. He has plans for 4 more buildings, and in one of those buildings, he would like to be able to have a laundromat. There is a lot of residential to the south of here that could be well served by this additional use. We haven't had any letters of opposition. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions, and I respectfully request that you follow the staff recommendation to recommend approval to the City Council.
Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
I do, Mr. Dewey. Just a quick question. Are those 2 buildings that are existing, were those existing buildings that he just improved the facade, or are those brand-new buildings?
He bought the property vacant, and he built the first building 3 or 4 years ago, and he built the last building maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
They're very nice. So I'm assuming, I know we can't dictate this, but I'm assuming that the additional buildings will be
I think he plans on matching the architectural style.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Great, thank you. Is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? All right, well, then I'll close the public session and return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
If no further comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve case 2024-276-ZC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, item number 14, zoning case 2024-278-ZC, located at 920 South Beltline Road, 3457 Sanjeev Drive, and 3460 Towid Avenue, if I pronounced that correctly. And I think, Mr. Dewey, you're up again.
I am. I'm Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owners of this townhouse development, which is under construction. They are under construction with some of the townhouses. Phase 1 was approved a couple of years ago, year and a half ago. Well, the zoning was approved before that, and then the first phase of the development was approved 18 months ago. When we did this original zoning, we got a variance to the front yard setback to go from 25 to 10. And in most of the residential district regulations, or many of them, the side yard can match the front yard if you don't have reverse frontage lots, which means if you have a lot that has a side yard and the lot behind you has a side yard, then that side yard can match the front. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have a side yard necessarily more restrictive than the front yard. But in particular, RTH doesn't, I guess, have that allowance. I kind of thought it did. And so I take responsibility. When the zoning case was approved, all of the lots shown in green were shown with the 10-foot side setback matching the front. Come to find out, they tried to pull a building permit for one of the units on the side in phase 1, and the it was denied because it said the side yard setback needed to conform to the zoning, which is 15 instead of 10. So I take responsibility for not having that on the site plan to begin with, but that was the original intention. Phase 1 was platted, showing those setbacks at 10. So I think the city staff also kind of said the 10 makes sense because it's already platted that way, but we need to be able to get this variance so they can pull a building permit in the future for those lots that would match the initial zoning case. So be glad to answer any questions you have. I know the staff said there's no apparent hardship. Maybe not to the staff, but a little bit on me. There's a little bit of a hardship, so. This was always planned to have this number of lots. It was shown on the original zoning exhibit, and we're just asking for basically for the plan to conform to the spirit of the original zoning. So be glad to answer any questions you have regarding this request.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Was you present during the work session?
Unfortunately, I could not be there.
Okay. There was some comments made, and we asked staff during the work session if this was on the plat originally, if you would have included it, would they have approved it? And they said more than likely they would have moved forward with it. So I guess it's just a error on whichever party's fault on this. I really don't see any issue with it as long as, like Mr. Skinner said in the work session, is the line of sight is matching and everything looks good. That's was, and it's safety. Fire department's okay with it. Traffic's okay with it. So I really don't see any issue with approving this.
Okay. Yeah, the line of sight remains the same because we don't have reverse frontage lots. So again, the side yard setback will match all the front yard setbacks.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Great, thank you. Anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Then I'll close the public hearing, return to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion for approval to City Council for zoning case 2024-278-ZC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, items 15 and 16. Those are the ones withdrawn, right? They have been withdrawn by the applicant, so we move on to our last item, which is item number 17, Special Fence Plan 2024-281-SFP, located at 801 South Jefferson Street. Is the applicant present? Sir?
Paul Manley, 801 South Jefferson Street. First thing I want to do is give you a history lesson. The house was built in 1950. The fence was put in 1958, the chain link fence. So that's how long it's been there. I bought the house in 1990, so that's how long I've been there. They came out and they looked, or permit, whoever, transportation looked at it. If you look at it, my driveway and the pictures y'all were showing in the previous meeting in there, my truck is back and it's actually on the sidewalk because my mower comes on Thursday, and I'll guarantee you that's the day that picture was taken, and my gate to the fence is in front of my truck, and that's the only way he can get the lawnmower through. And the second thing is I normally back in because my wife drives my truck, and I'd rather her be pulling out instead of backing out. So, that's normally the way it works. The fence is off the street, off the curb, 12 foot 8 inches off the curb. For me, 15 foot, so that's 2.5 foot, but it's right on the property line. If you go that way down the street, heading, what is that? The house is heading east on Britain, The two corner houses, both of them have fences that are 6 foot off the curb, all the way down their backyard. The house is facing them on the, whatever the street is in front of Britain. That back to them, their fences are 6 foot off the curb, all the way down. So the problem with visibility has nothing to do with it. My fence is going to stop there at my driveway. So if you do 35 foot on one, going down 8th Street, 35 foot going down Jefferson Street, you got good vision both ways. The only person that's going to have a problem seeing is me backing out of if I'm backing out of my driveway, and that's me. But there's nothing that I can see in y'all's provisions that worried about me backing out of my driveway. It's people pulling up to the corner going left or right. So if that was an issue, it would be the same issue on Britain Street and the other street that's before Britain. So there's been no complaints over all these years. The neighbor behind me, they built that house back there, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. She doesn't have a problem. She'd love to have the fence up. She doesn't like looking in my backyard. I used to have dogs, but people coming down the sidewalk poison my dogs, so I don't have them anymore. So that's why I want privacy in my yard. None of the neighbors have a problem with it. They're tickled to death about it. So as far as planning goes, the sidewalks, when they came in to put in the sidewalks in 2003, they put a sign down at the end of my street down there that said $487,000 of your tax money to improve your neighborhood. Well, 6 months after they got the sidewalks in, they had to come back and pull them all back up to put new plumbing and stuff in there. I don't know who planned that. Hopefully it wasn't y'all. Then the second thing they did was they came in, they said, well, we're going to put the sidewalks 4 foot inside the curb, the street of the curb. But then I got a notice that says, well, you can only water 2 days a week, so I'm going to be out here watering the street. So everybody got together on the street and said, why don't you put the sidewalks next to the curb so we don't have grass out there dying that everybody's watering.
1 minute remaining.
And on the front street, on Jefferson Street, if you go by my house, you'll see my sidewalk is about this far to you from the curb out there, because in 1956, they were going to come in putting sidewalks, and they haven't made it yet. So since we hadn't not had them all this time, everybody on the street got together and told the city, we don't want sidewalks out front. Everybody can walk in the street. So I don't know who was doing the planning then either. But since I've been there for 31 years, I pay my taxes, I get along, my neighbors are great, they have no problems with it. The permit section, transportation says they didn't have a problem with it. I would appreciate y'all's approval so I can get my fence built. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? Oh, you said you spoke with the neighbor, is that?
Now, the one that approved it is over here on the right, but she wouldn't have a problem anyway. So
The one on 8th Street behind you?
But the one behind me, yeah, we've been out there working together. We got this, the lady that used to live there years ago planted a grapevine out there next to the fence. And it has been as a battle trying to get this grapevine out of there. So me and her met trying to get the grapevine out of the trees and out of the ground. So right now, both of us are about halfway down a bottle of vodka trying to figure out how to get the rest of it out of the ground. But no, she don't have a problem with it. She'd be happy if I put the fence up and maybe kill off the grapevine, and we ain't got to look at each other. So, so that's pretty much the way it is.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I'd just like to make a statement, though, to the applicant. We appreciate you coming down and trying to get approval to put up your fence. Understand when we were talking about visibility, that was necessarily for your safety and your neighbors to make sure when you were pulling out. We just wanted to make sure that you were aware of stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
And we also, from a commission board, we have to look at things years forward. So when the house sells 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that fence is allowed there. So that's the stuff we look at. So it wasn't necessarily picking on you, but we were wanting to make sure that was a issue that was addressed.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So,
All right. No more questions? All right, thank you very much.
thank you all.
All right, is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item?
Good evening. My name is Karen Willis. I live at 116 East 8th Street, and I hope you approve his fence because we have been fighting the grapevines for a while. So I just wanted to come here tonight and support him in building his fence. So I don't have any issues with it.
Great, thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anyone in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for any further discussion and a motion.
Could I just thank you for making it so entertaining for the last case of the night? I love it. I love your directness and the humor, and I appreciate the history lesson. And I think Mr. Lightfoot has mentioned it was a concern for safety of other people on 8th Street, but we do appreciate it. So if no other further comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve Special Fence Plan 2024-281-SFP.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously. Now, just a warning, as I said before, it still goes to council, so we're not the final decision on it, but it goes with a recommendation of approval. All right, and that is our last item for tonight. So the meeting is adjourned at 8:09 p.m.